Anyway, Steve here. Happy Saturday morning. And every time now today there was no crazy SD card ejections, but every time I sat down, almost every time, one of these pictures fell. But anyway, no serious video issues. I got a confession to make. Before I make my confession, you're going to hear my air conditioner again. It's like 100 degrees outside. I'm not shutting it off. There'll be background music. In the final edit, there'll be background music playing. You won't hear it that much. But if it really bugs you, I apologize. Now my confession. My confession is I have not done any type of exercise at all today. Zero. None. And I don't feel good about that, but I did go out and fly my quadcopter. I haven't got my prop guards yet, but I got my propellers, and I couldn't resist. I had to test them out, and they work well. Quadcopter is flying pretty decent. I've got a few tweaks and things to do to it as far as the firmware goes. Having a problem with calibrating the GPS on it, but I mean, it's flyable. So I am thinking about buying a different quadcopter. There's someone here in town who has this quadcopter, and I like it. I like some of the features, and I've seen some of the footage that he's done with it and its quality. So nothing against DJI. They've got some amazing products. As a matter of fact, the Inspire I would love to have, but the price tag on that thing is ridiculous. The Phantom 3 is out. They've got Phantom 2, Phantom 2 Vision, Vision Plus. They got so many, and they're great. Easy to fly, awesome helicopters. But I figured I'd try this other brand, this other company that makes these quadcopters. Check it out, just to check it out. So anyway, it's story time. And I know that these are runner vlogs, and a lot of times when I'm vlogging, I'm out running or biking or doing some sort of exercise. In the beginning, before I started doing vlogs, a lot of my videos were running tips and things like that, but this is a daily vlog. So a lot of times I'm talking about or showing what's going on in my day, and today and these story times aren't really too much running related. I just like to tell stories of things that happened in my past. So this one is a cool one. My uncle, when I was younger, man, I mean I would have had to have been between 8 and 10 something years old. Anyway, he was a pizza man. He had a pizza recipe that was like none other, and everybody in the town I live in locally knew him, knew his pizza, knew his nachos, knew the place, the pizza place that he ran with a friend of his was called the Pizza Palace, and it was awesome. He had an arcade in the back. His nachos were incredible. That's probably what people remember the most locally. And just the smell of the place. You walk in and the pizza and the atmosphere. And he was like he had like I mean, I'm probably telling my age here, but whatever. But if you remember Bozo, if anybody remembers Bozo, and I mean he had that hair, like he was bald right here. And I mean I'm not, but I mean I'm probably getting there. I don't know if it runs in the family or not. I don't know. I wear a hat all the time because my hair is growing out and it's real shaggy. But he's bald right here, and he had like this hair and this mustache. He looked Italian. He looked like a pizza guy, like the perfect image of the dude spinning the dough. That's what he looked like. He's kind of a big dude. Awesome, friendly. Loved it. But he had this arcade in the back of his pizza place, and I remember going in there. Saturdays were spent. A lot of time was actually spent there. A lot of time. He employed a lot of family members, and they all worked for him. And I was young at the time, and I wanted to play arcade games. And his way of allowing me to play arcade games was I would go in and I would do dishes, wash things up, clean things up. The arcade games ran on tokens, like these little Pizza Palace tokens. And if I did all that stuff, he had like this big 5-gallon bucket of tokens underneath the register, and he would just scoop up a cup of these tokens and hand them to me for doing the dishes and things like that, and I would go back and I would play video games. And it was this was the 80s, and I'm playing Pac-Man and Centipede and Asteroids and there were so many. There's a Frogger. There was this fire truck one where someone in the back steered the back half of the fire truck and the other person drove the front. What else was it? There were so many arcade games in there, and that's how I spent my Saturday, and a lot of days. But I particularly remember Saturday, getting up, raring to go, get to the Pizza Palace, do some dishes, go play loads of video games, and it was awesome. And he did things for the community. He was big into football, the local high school football, big into that because a couple of his sons were in football, and he did things for the community. He had talent shows at the pizza place. He had, of course, he had the arcade. He had like a scoreboard for the highest score on the arcade games, and people were competing to get on the high scoreboard. I mean, he knew how to run a business, especially a pizza business, and those memories as a kid. Now we have nothing like that in this community now, which is a bummer, because that was so fun. That was so fun to, as a kid, and even adults and families, they would spend a lot of time there, and the kids would be back in that arcade and they would just. The parents could go in, sit down, and have a conversation while the kids just went to this arcade and just played like crazy. And it was a great idea, and to this day it would be a great idea. My uncle has since passed away, and I would love to remake the Pizza Palace the way it was, with the 80s style arcade games and his pizza recipe and his nachos, and set up that atmosphere again. That would be incredible. Not only would that be incredible for the community, because talk about a family-friendly environment that would give kids a place to hang out, would be great. But I even remember spending the night. There's times we got to spend the night at the pizza place, just for fun, and we spent the night in the arcade. And I remember getting woke up one time because you could go into this little office area and flip all the arcade games on. They'd all come on at once and they'd all make this crazy noise. And I remember getting woke up the next morning by them flipping on the arcade games, probably on purpose to wake us up. But, well, yeah, most likely. But those things, those memories of that arcade, I mean, I'm not stuck in the 80s, but when I think back on the 80s, of being a little kid and growing up in the 80s, born in the 70s, growing up in the 80s, it's such a cool time. I mean, it was definitely a little cheesy. I mean, and some of the style was a little out there, but it was such a cool time. It was such a cool time to be a kid and to grow up in that atmosphere of the 80s, and the style was. The style was a little wild, but it's fun. It's fun growing up in the 80s. It was fun. It was fun spending my time at my uncle's pizza place and growing addicted to those video games that has carried through most of my life. I still play video games, and I still play Pac-Man and Centipede and all those games on my iPad. Not quite the same. Well, not at all the same. Nowhere near the same as standing in front of the Pac-Man machine. And, you got the joystick and the buttons, and you're just going crazy trying to get through the maze and get the dots and strategizing. Try to strategize and work your way to get as many dots as you can before you use the big dots to turn the ghost blue. and really trying to work out a strategy to get to the next level, and it was just fantastic. Fantastic, just going there and playing those games. Me and my dad would play Centipede and compete and compete and compete at Centipede. He was good. My dad was good at those arcade games, and he would hold the top score. And those were the days, man. And everybody looks back. Everybody looks back on their childhood and whatever era they came from, and fills up inside like, man, that was so great. But growing up in the 80s, man, it was awesome. It was awesome playing those games, and it was good stuff. And my uncle was a fantastic businessman and a great people person. He knew how to relate to people and talk to people, and people really liked him. And he made a pizza like no other. And he spun the dough. He absolutely spun the dough. Like, I've seen him do it many times. And I remember back working. I can remember the smell of the place. I can remember working in the kitchen, or in back. You'd go back a ways into this kitchen area where they made the dough and you wash dishes and stuff back there. And I remember everything about it, and it was such a big impact on my life. And it definitely turned me into the geek I am today, because technology was the video games, and then video games in general, and how they've grown to today. But where they started from them arcade machines, and just awesome. I was in Boy Scouts, and my dad took us there, as just a little trip. We each got to make our own personal size pizza, and my uncle was that dude. He was that guy that would do anything for anybody, and really reached out to the community to give us and the community something to do, somewhere to go and hang out. And man, we need that again. We need that again. Because anyway, but that's today's vlog, and that is a great memory of mine. And there's some local people who watch these videos, and though I'm sure they remember. I'm sure they remember the Pizza Palace. I'm sure they remember the talent shows on Friday. I'm sure they remember all the football teams when the football team won. I'm sure they remember flooding in there to have pizza and nachos. I'm sure they remember the arcade. I know they remember the nachos and the pizza, because it was amazing. I'm not even kidding. I have never had pizza that incredible in my life. It was good. It was good stuff, good times. Had a lot of good memories there with my uncle, my family, and my cousins, and it was great. It was great. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.